Japanese tea ceremonies were once and still are extremely important parts of Japan's culture. In this film, we will discuss the fundamental concepts of tea ceremonies and how they relate to the culture and social class of Japan. Tea ceremonies are an extremely historic practice called Chan-no-yu. The ceremonies began in 815. They moved to Japan from China, where they originated, and in the early days of tea ceremonies, they were only used in imperial settings, ornate and covered with gold. With time, however, they developed to adapt to minimalist Japanese style and became more popular with samurai, wealthy merchants, and the rest of the upper class. Traditional Japanese tea ceremonies are focused on the harmony between the guest and host. The courtesy and honor shared between them during the ceremony is extremely significant to the art of tea. The guest must do the very most to be thankful and humble towards the host, beginning the ceremony by entering the tea house through a much smaller door than the host. The host must also be deeply grateful and generous to the guest. The tea ceremony begins with the host announcing that the guest may enter. This is one of the few verbal communications in the whole ceremony. The host presents the guest with a tray of sweets to balance the bitterness of the tea. The guest waits to eat while the host brings in the tea implements, one by one. It is very important for the host to do this gracefully. Then the host cleans the tools in front of a guest, even though they have already been cleaned prior to the ceremony, to show the host's graciousness. After this, the host makes the matcha tea for the guest. The host will continue making cups of tea until the guest signals to stop. The guests make sure to appreciate all of the ceramics and decorations in the tea house, because the host shows them, especially based on the season and the guest's preference. Historically, this harmony has made tea ceremonies an interesting platform to discuss social class. Tea house customs say that in the tea house, the guest and host are equal, but only upper-class citizens of Japan were known to take part in tea ceremonies. Samurai, wealthy upper-class warriors in Japan, would frequently use tea houses and left their weapons at the door, a place of peace. Tea houses were considered things of luxury and prestige, which eliminated the lower class. A tea caddy or cup would be outrageously expensive for a farmer or craftsman. Tea houses are huge pieces of Japan's culture. The architecture, rituals, decorations, and tea itself is all considered to be an art. Even religion plays a role in tea ceremonies. Key concepts of harmony and tranquility from Shintoism, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism all played roles in the development of the art. Ceremonies themselves could last up to 4 hours. Tea ceremonies, to say the least, were very culturally abundant.
Kyoko Matsuda. I'm from Omate Senki School.
How does the tea ceremony take inspiration from Eastern religions?
Yes, originally tea ceremony came from China, but actually the monk, Zen monk went to China to study Zen. Then he brought back tea culture, and that time was 12th century. He brought back tea plant seed. Then he planted in Kyoto, and then successfully grow, and then serving tea become also popular.
Does it also take inspiration from other philosophies?
Mostly Buddhism, but it's not really religion. It's a tea ceremony. It's like more philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't not really exactly not necessary to be Zen teaching things. We take anything you think if it's good philosophy.
Back pre-1800s, what kind of people would participate in tea ceremonies?
Until 150 years ago, tea ceremony was practiced by men only. Also, not only regular men, it's only highest rank of the people, which was the like shogun or royal family or successful, very famous merchant.
Can you tell me the architecture of the tea house itself?
You are sitting in a tea room in a tea garden, but also not necessary for the tea room is in a by itself. It can be a part of the building, and also the size is varied. This is a 6-mat tatami room. Smallest was really 1.5, but it's not anymore exists. So smallest is I should say 3 tatami room now. But it depends.
The style is very rustic.
Yeah, very rustic. Wall is like mud and no color. Very simple, and wood, and also wood is untreated wood. So it's very, I can say, rustic. Yes.
Japanese tea houses and the ceremonies within were huge parts of culture and social class there. Tea houses are still used today in many parts of Japan, but we are lucky enough to be able to understand the rich, deep roots of history.